What's up, everybody? November 12th, begin with the starter, please. Okay, everybody take a look. Okay, so this is just going over what are the colors, what do they represent in rainbow, highlighting as review from previous lessons, as well as the DBQ from Latin America. Okay, I try and keep things the same. So take a look. What's the orange? What is it for? Places and locations, numbers and dates, other important information, or people and groups of people. Do the same thing with blue, green, purple. Then please hit submit. Okay, and let's continue here. I'll give you about a minute to complete that. All right, now let's continue to the summary. Take a look at the summary. Going to keep things the same here, fairly simple. Okay, we're going to determine again the causes of World War I, use primary and secondary sources to interpret various historical perspectives. Europe is the unit, and the statement of inquiry remains the same. Ideology impacts interactions. Synchronous work, November 12th starter. We're going to begin World War I DBQ, the pre-bucketing and understanding the question, and then November 12th, ticket out the door. Okay, and then your asynchronous time is to complete World War I DBQ, pre-bucketing and understanding the question. Here we go. Let's get into this. Okay, DBQ project. Again, I will model for you how to get into DBQ project. Once again, you go to NCED Cloud, then Clever. Once you get into Clever, you go to DBQ Online for the DBQ project. Mine is in my favorites. I suggest you make it a favorite as well. All right, so here we go. So for me, I have to go to classes and assignments. I think it's a little bit different for you, but you should see these 3 assignments. We completed these 2 already, and now we're into what was the underlying cause of World War I. Okay, here we go. So we did the cover, and you can navigate, okay, right here, you navigate here. Hook exercise, background essay, we completed both of those at this point. You can also hit this arrow over here on the right side to transition to the next portion or section of the DBQ. So we're going to go to understanding the question and pre-bucketing. I'll let that sit there for a little bit just to make sure we're not leaving anybody behind. Any questions, again, please put them in the chat, and I'll do my best to get to those. All right, understand the question and pre-bucketing. So here we go. Here's what I want you all to do. And we can do this together, at least to start, right? So what is the analytical question asked by this mini-Q? So what we're getting into here is what's our big question? And that's the title of our DBQ. So I'm gonna go and do the text box here, stretch it out, put it right here, okay? I'm gonna change that font color as well to a little bit darker. You know, I'm gonna keep it red, or maybe purple. I wish it was darker. I'm gonna do red though. Let's do red. Everybody do red so it's easy for me to see. Okay, and the analytical question is, what was the underlying cause of World War I? Okay, everybody put that in there. That's our analytical question. That's the question that we're trying to answer through this DBQ. And we may simplify it a little bit and just get into what were the causes of World War I instead of what was the underlying cause. So I'm making the decision here. Scrap that. Change it, please. What were the causes of World War I. All right, I'm changing the question on the fly. Okay, that's what I'm getting into. What were the causes of World War I? Now, if we take a look at this, let's look at the term. Let's look at number 2 here. What terms in the question need to be defined? If I'm looking at that, maybe I'm going to get a little picky here. I'm going to say causes in World War I. Causes. What leads to something like that. And then I'm going to say World War I. This is a war in the early 1900s that involved much of the world. Okay. All right. There you go. That is what your document should look like right now. Your document should look like that right now. Now what I want you to do, here's where it's going to look a little bit different. Okay. I want you to rewrite this question in your words. And this shows me that you understand the question. If you cannot restate a question, then it is not clear to me that you really understand what I'm asking for here. So what I want you to do is rewrite this question in your own words. I'm going to do the same. I challenge you not to use mine on this one, but you can if you need to. Okay, you can if you need to. But if I'm taking a look here, I'm going to add a text box, resize it, drag it down into the space, and say all right, something like that. What events led to a global war in the early 1900s? In a way, that's kind of saying World War I. Okay. Maybe I'll do both. I'll do a comma there. So what events led to World War I, a global war in the early 1900s, kind of adding that into that, because I think that's clear. I like including that in my rewritten question. All right, so everybody make sure that that is done. I'll give you 1 minute to do so, and then we'll move on. Okay, here we go. Let's move on to the next part here. Okay, pre-bucketing. Now, here's what we're going to do here. I want you to label these and just follow along with what I'm doing here. And I'm going to give you these buckets, these categories in advance. In a way, these are some of the causes that I want to explain and I want you to research and look into a little bit. So let's look at this first one. Okay, the first one, I'm going to do a text box. I'm going to keep it red for now. And I want you to label this first one militarism. Okay, militarism. Okay. Then I want you to label the second one. I'm going to copy this so it's the same size and I can move it. alliances, copy it. Last one, imperialism. Those are the three that we're going to mention. You can also include in here nationalism, which is an extreme pride in your country or your nation, as another cause of World War I. But for now, here's what I want y'all to do. Okay, organize it just like that. I'll give you a minute to get caught up. Okay, now here's what I want to make sure you understand. Okay, I want to make sure you understand what these actually mean, and I want you to write these definitions on this document. So if you look back here, okay, so we did that first part, right? We understand the question, we completed the 3 questions at the top of the page. Now we're in the pre-bucketing section, where we labeled the buckets the following, but I need you to now write the definition below each bucket, okay? So what I'm looking at here, here's our definition for militarism. The idea that a country should maintain a strong military and be prepared to use it aggressively to defend or promote national interests. So militarism is the idea that you're, as a nation, you have to have a strong military and be prepared to use it, okay? And not just in a small way, in an aggressive way. Build up a strong military, okay, and be prepared to use it. So some scholars say that militarism was a leading cause of World War I. All these countries are building up their military might. And so in a way, they're saying that that can lead into this global conflict. So go ahead and write that definition in your own words, please. In your own words, please. Below. I'm going to copy this. Okay, I'm going to move it below here. I'm definitely going to resize it. Try and keep it out of the way of the other buckets. Idea that a country should build a large military and be prepared to use it. Okay. All right. Now let's move on to, actually, I'll give you a minute. Get caught up. All right, let's move on to the next one. Alliances. Take a look here, right? Alliances. This is a union formed for mutual benefit, especially between countries. Let's take a look and rephrase it in your own words, please. I'm going to copy this one. Move it over here. Okay, so I'm going to say a relationship or agreement between two countries and it benefits both. Okay? All right, I'm not sure that's like proper writing, but I'm going to leave it as is. So relationship between or agreement between two groups or countries, and it's mutually beneficial. It benefits both countries. Give you a minute, get caught up. And now let's move on to the last one, imperialism. Okay, let's take a look. We can go back to this. Go back here. And let's take a look. Imperialism is a policy of extending a country's power and influence through diplomacy or military force. So let's see what we can come up with here for this definition. A policy or idea, okay, to grow a country's power and persuasion, ability to persuade countries or influence, right? I mean, I'm just trying to use different words than what's in the definition to show understanding. I mean, influence is pretty straightforward though, so maybe easier to use the word influence by talking it out, which is diplomacy, or force. Okay. So this is like extending a country's power through kind of like making an agreement, making agreements with countries and regions of the world, but also taking it by force and using your military. Two ways of growing and expanding your country's power, your country's territory, your country's influence. So this is right, this is like Great Britain taking over India. This is Great Britain taking over Egypt and Nigeria and countries throughout the world. And earlier on, right, going in the 1700s, going over and taking over the New World, right, the Americas, North America, or the United States that it eventually became. This is Spain going over, right, Latin America and taking over, you know, the region of Latin America, Central and South America, or Brazil going over and Portugal going and taking over Brazil, right? That is an example of imperialism. And in the 1900s, this is still happening where these countries, mostly European, are spread throughout the world and trying to extend their territory, extend the countries that they control, extend their boundaries, and make their country larger and more powerful. Okay, so that's what we're looking at for imperialism. Okay, take a look. So we are good to go. That is today. Now go to the ticket out the door. Ticket out the door. Straightforward as always. Same 4 questions. Just make sure you're paying attention. You're engaged. What's the objective? Unit are we studying? Statement of inquiry. What is the asynchronous work today? Please complete that and you're good to go. Thank you.